Welcome to the Daikaiju Network podcast commentary on Return of Daimajin. I am your co-host, Kent, and with me is your other co-host,
Jason. And you almost screwed that one up right away. like you did with the Pacific Rim Uprising with Independence Day Resurgence.
Independence Day Resurgence. Oh shit. I have the cases of the Porky Piggy. But seriously, jeez. Welcome to our commentary.
Someone's having brain farts.
On Return of Daimajin. And we got, thank you. I am your co-host, Kent, and with me is your other co-host,
Jason. What's going on, peeps?
And then we got a special guest here. Well, he's leaving right now. My son, Lincoln. He will be joining us here in a few moments. But we are doing the second commentary of the Daimajin series, Return of Daimajin. This was when we had, originally started at some point last summer. And for whatever reason, we did not conclude the commentary series. We just never came back to it for whatever strange reason. So
just never really thought about it.
Yeah, what we're going to be doing today, and a couple of weeks from now, is we will be finishing this trilogy up and from the commentary standpoint. So, and I wanted to do a quick mention here. My Blu-ray keeps automatically starting here. Anybody who owns this knows how ridiculous that is.
I just had to pop mine out for a bit, so it just completely stops it from doing it.
But anyways, I'll just pause it here actually for a moment, and then I'll just hit the top menu when we're getting close to starting this. A quick note that I wanted to say, we haven't said anything definitively yet, but I just want to give everybody a heads up just so that they're aware when the time comes, is that since we are going to be doing the Daikaiju Fest again this year, and we are in the planning stages in terms of what panels we want to do, who wants to do what, and what kind of panels we want to do together, we decided that the best thing to do would be to, after we do the Godzilla vs. Kong commentary on April 17th, we're going to quit podcasting live like this for a while. Because then that will allow us more time to put together Daikaiju Fest. We will end up recording everything over the next couple of months. Thank Jason for putting all the special effects and the editing stuff together. And then when the time comes, he will end up premiering all of our stuff together appropriately for Daikaiju Fest. During the week what would be G-Fest.
Yeah, so basically we're going to have things, quote-unquote, premiere live, but, it's going to stream things live, but everything's going to be all pre-recorded during that time when G-Fest was originally supposed to be scheduled on the second weekend of July, because some of us are going to be doing some things during that week. I'm planning on doing some road tripping during that time as well, since now G-Fest has been postponed into next year, so I got Plan B pretty much going.
Yeah, we just thought it was easier for us, because if we kept going with the every other week recording along with trying to put Daikaiju Fest together, it was going to be too much for Jason. And Jason is really the brains behind all of this stuff. If I do anything, it's more of like the planning in terms of the content, and then he puts all the nitty gritty stuff together, the music, the logos, and all that stuff. So you have to thank Jason for the fact that this crappy podcast gets out to you at all. But it just was going to be too much. Like, it would be even too much for me. I got 2 kids who are doing virtual learning at home. It was just going to be too much for both of us to keep doing podcasting and at the same time to try to find time to either come together or to do certain things solo for certain panels. So after April 17th, I'm doing live podcasting for like the next couple of months so that we can go ahead and do recordings and other things for Daikaiju Fest. And then once that's done, then we will resume, our regular podcast.
Yeah, and even me dealing with work, not just this here, but other things too, is that, I can admit too that I've at least had a hard time just to try to get the audio version of the podcast worked out, uploaded, and get everything on the website so it can be distributed out to the, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn as well, which you can kind of see down below in the ticker there. So those are the audio podcasts that we're on. But yeah, at least this couple month break would at least help us out, especially when we're already in the midst of planning for Daikaiju Fest 2.
So yeah, other than that, is there any other housekeeping stuff we need to do before we proceed with the commentary here?
Like I said here, if I can lower my volume down here just a bit, because I think I finally got to get my microphone working properly here, because I know the past few weeks that it keeps going up and down. But anyways, as far as the audio podcasts, as I mentioned earlier, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn as well. And then on video streams, we're on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, and DLive as well. And make sure to like and subscribe to us at these platforms, and as well as leave a review, stars, whatever. So, and I'll spread
more than 1 star, please.
Yeah, spread the love. Spread the love.
All right, so are we kind of getting ready to get going here, more or less?
Yeah, so I'm going to need to pop the Blu-ray disc back in my player here.
The menu set up on my deal here. Okay, and I need to unmute my TV here. These darn Blu-rays, I don't appreciate it when DVDs and Blu-rays just start by themselves here. Let me know when you got your icon on play on Return of Daimajin, not Daimajin. We got to make sure that it's on the right one.
Yeah. No, I don't want to resume play right now. So right now it's just going through the all the FBI.
Don't worry about it, stuff. Oh, wait a minute! You're going through the FBI warnings and stuff.
Yeah. So right now it's just showing the Mill Creek logo. So then it'll go to the.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought it's
just taking me to the menu.
Show up.
Well, just my TV just popped up a little window saying, "Do you want to resume play?" And I said no. So it just took me through the whole
Say
process.
no, I never asked in the first place.
All right, so right now I've got the play highlighted for Return of Daimajin.
So I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, go. When I say go, we're going to hit the OK button on the play on Return of Daimajin for anybody, because more or less, if you own this movie, it's more than likely the Blu-ray. All right, so here we go. You ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right.
And then turn over to the commentary cam so you won't see our ugly butt faces.
Speak for yourself. Mine's a finger face.
But yeah, I think the last time I remember watching this movie was when we last discussed this on the episode, maybe about a couple or so years ago.
Yeah, and I know I talked about this when we originally discussed these movies a few years back, and I'm not sure if I did it again when we did the original commentary on Daimajin at some point last year. But my favorite out of the Daimajin trilogy is this one, Return of Daimajin. Part of it is due to the cast. I love Kojiro Hongo. I think he's a fantastic actor. And on top of that, too, the supporting cast I think is wonderful. I love the story. I love the setting of this particular film as well. I love how Daimajin is portrayed, the Moses parting the Red Sea type of deal that Daimajin does towards the end. Spoiler alert. I think is really cool. I'm not too keen on terms of how the villain is taken out in this film. That is the only real complaint I have about this particular film. But otherwise, I really do like this one an awful lot. And then this actor too. What is his name? I need to look him up here. He's in Gamera versus Barugon as well. This guy is really good. He tends to play a lot of villains for the most part here. Let me see here.
Has
What
he
is his name?
has he done?
Koji Fujiyama.
Yeah, that dude.
Oh shoot, I forgot to put the actual dub on. What dub can't? Yeah, I like dubs. I prefer dubs.
Oh, I've just got the subs, so at least this way I can sort of see what's going on here.
Oh, I got the subs on even with the English, but I would let me see. Doggone it here, Kent. Get your act together. Turn this up here more. To all these. In fact, if I remember correctly, the first two Daimajin movies were dubbed back in the 60s originally. The third one, however, was dubbed by Mill Creek, if I remember correctly.
I probably would have to check on that one.
I'm pretty positive of that.
But I think at times it seems to me that every time I watch these kinds of movies, it sort of also reminds me, in a way, with the infamous Polgassery movie.
Oh man, dude, don't bring that up.
I don't know
it's
why.
not a terrible movie, it's just dull. I find it dull.
One of these times we'll have to commentate or discuss the sort of the rebooted version of it.
It's early in 2021. You're gonna start, sticking needles in me this early. I do own the DVD of that movie, but of course, the place where I got it from sadly is no longer available. So sadly, you can't pick it up.
Well, at least you can watch it for
The
free.
movie. You can where?
Oh yeah, on YouTube. I mentioned about it like at least a few times.
Again, that movie to me is so dull that I kind of forget about it most of the time.
And there are at least a few others that are for free that you can watch on YouTube.
Better not name them just in case the Popo are listening and then they want to take them down. We can definitely tell Hongo is not playing that flute there because the lips did not match the amount of breath
I
that was
was the
being
one
blown.
that played the flute. But yeah, at the same
When
time,
I think of
I
this
really
particular
like these movies that are dated back in the Edo period.
yeah, feudal Japan.
Yeah.
Um, I think I mentioned it on here before. My final semester at university, one of the classes I took was called something to the effect of samurai, like learn about Japanese samurai, and we went through like 2,000 years worth of Japanese history of the samurai, and it was about the time in which this Blu-ray set originally was released. And I watched this within 3 or so weeks after graduating from college. And, obviously my education was still pretty fresh in my mind. And I just geeking out a little bit because some of the stuff I learned, I was paying closer attention to some of the detail and stuff in terms of traditions and some of the things that were being taken out in terms of ceremonies and all that stuff throughout these three films. And yeah, I really enjoy that too. I even have you, well, obviously you can't see it, but I have a huge book. It's like that thick. Jason can see this, but none of you can. More or less like, 4 or 5 inches thick. It's on the history of Japan, and most of it is about kind of this period.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very interesting. I own several other books. I got one book specifically on the samurai. I've got another book. Um, I'm positive I do. I'm not seeing it at the moment. It could be buried because I got a ton of books. One, I might have a book on the ninjas as well. And I knew originally going into this trilogy over 8 years ago now that one of the criticisms many people had about this trilogy was that didn't show up until kind of the final 10-15 minutes of the film. And initially that made me a little apprehensive, but nevertheless I was like, I'm a huge fan of this sort of film. I'm going to check them out anyway. And when I saw the first one for the first time back in early January of 2013, I didn't mind too much. And the more I've watched these movies over the years, it's like I don't mind. And again, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about 5 minutes ago about the history of this period of the Japanese people and all that. I one of the things I majored in was history in general. I'm a historian major, and just seeing this stuff keeps me entertained as it is anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And the Daimajin stuff is almost like the cherry on the sundae.
Yeah, and to me, I think it's just more than Daimajin himself that I really enjoy watching these films. I just like the human aspect, the setting, the story, the characters. I mean, I really like how things are set up that lead up to towards the ending when Daimajin appears.
Yeah, me too. And the interesting thing is I consider really all three movies in a sense are similar, but I think the first two are even more similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
The third one tends to take a bit of a different twist.
Yeah, a little bit of a more something a little bit different than the first two. Just try to keep it maybe a little bit fresh instead of having it repetitive like the second one sort of did. It's like repeating the first thing, like the first film, but with different characters and maybe some different events going on. But yeah, like the third one is trying to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember, years ago when I first saw that third movie, I was really annoyed by the kids. And
Oh
I made
yeah.
that and I made that very clear a few times on here, but with time I've grown to be okay with them. like
hmm
you know, but but yeah, like I still think this one is my favorite. I this one in some cases, of course, is still different from the first one, but I think it is more similar than what the third one is to the first film. Uh, but again, at the same time, all three films are very similar. You have this very evil dude taking over, kind of this not really kingdom. I forget the term, but this lordship of a village and just being an absolute jerk, putting people to death, torturing them, and all that stuff. And then it's up to the heroes to try to figure out ways to stop him, but then also trying to get Daimajin involved to really solve the problem through violence, more or less. I mean, that's kind of what it is. And one of the things I didn't realize until I think 2 or 3 years ago when I was going through these films, is that there is an elemental element, no pun intended, to all three of these films. You have the first Daimajin, which I think was wind. This one is water, and I think the final one is fire. I
Or
think
uh, you said the first one was Earth,
wind.
Wind. Okay, I'm probably guessing. I think it. I think the third one could be Earth.
It's either earth or fire, but I'm almost positive it could be fire.
It's been a while since I've last watched that. Oh heck, all three of them. It's been a while since I've last watched.
Last time I watched these was with my son Lincoln. It was last spring or summer, because being out of class with the pandemic and all that, we just decided every other night there for a while we were just gonna show him kaiju films and tokusatsu films that he had not seen before, and eventually we got to these. So yeah, it's been within the last, I don't know, eight to 8 to 10 months since I last watch these.
And then we get the opposing faction here that they were hiding within those haystacks, whichever that they brought in, and trying to assassinate Hongo's character here.
It's amazing that other than Fujiyama, the guys who are in the hay bales don't have any sort of armor on them. It's like, okay, you missed a step here. Like, don't you think putting on some sort of armor to protect yourself would be
I think there, I think, I
important?
think there's a certain name for the for that kind of warrior back in Japan. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really studied much of
Stupid?
Japanese, no, Japanese military or
Yeah.
any of that during this time period.
Can you imagine though dying like through a blade, or something like that, where more or less, unless you're stabbed through a heart or something, and even then, like you by and large bleed out. Just
Yeah,
what a way to go. They died because they get
but
cut up.
I really like the sets that they've done with this movie.
Yeah, and remember, folks, for anyone who has forgotten or may not be aware, this is by the same studio that did your Gamera movies at the same time.
Yeah.
They made all three of these films in the same year, 1966.
I mean, that's quite the feat, just doing three
The Secret
movies of
Gate,
the.
which is very much a repeat of the first film there, and then here we go again. More rocks to secure the entrance there, or the exit, I should say.
But yeah,
And then,
it's sort of
oops,
amazing how they did three movies of the same thing in one year. I mean, that's sort of unheard of.
I think, though, each film had a different director, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't doubt it. Let me see here.
I do like a lot of these older dubs. I mean, there's just a nostalgia for that kind of dubbing that I love so much.
Apparently, it seems to only show one director.
I hope he got paid well.
Oh no, never mind. Here we go. Uh, Kimiyoshi Yasuda was the first one, and then the director that did this one is Kenji Misumi, and the third one, Daimajin Strikes Again, was Issei Mori.
I was going to say because, and I don't remember the release schedule, but one was more or less released within the first 2 3 months of '66, and the other one more or less was released in the summer, and the other one was like fall winter. Because if you had the same guy, boy, I mean, you're talking about within a month and a half. Like that's a lot. I mean, it can be done, but I don't know if you want to be the same guy doing that for 3 consecutive films. Jump Fukuda did that with Godzilla vs. Megalon. Everything was put together inside of 28 days for that film. And yeah, I don't think you want to be someone who is like, you got the fire under your butt to produce a new movie inside of a month and a half. Three times within a given year. I would think that would put so much stress on you that probably put you in an early grave.
Yeah. Well, then probably they were working overtime and stuff too, just to try to get
You can
something like that
imagine, though, if
done.
it were, a one-man director, by the time he got to the third film, he'd be an excessive alcoholic and probably so abusive to the crew and cast. Just, oh man, you would feel bad for like the kids who were involved in that. In that third movie, maybe that's why the one kid died in that third movie. He's like, damn it, like I need to get rid of one of you, right? And have one of the kids drown.
Oh God. Yeah, who cares?
The voice actor doing this guy here, he's in a lot of different stuff. You hear him quite a bit in Gamera, you hear him in Warning from Space, you hear him in a couple of the earlier Godzilla films. This voice actor is one of those voice actors that I remember an awful lot because, for the reasons I just stated, he's in quite a bit of stuff. And as a kid, I watched some of these films that he's dubbed, and just, once again, nostalgia.
Nani?
Ugh. And that's like by the hip.
Like where the bladder and everything is.
I'm thinking more like
Prostate.
no, that's too low. I just Like maybe liver, you know?
Kidney.
The kidneys are up kind of inside your rib cage.
So is the liver.
The liver is kind of right. Well, you can't see it. It's like right here.
No, I think it's probably right around here, sort of where the below the pec.
it, it's just outside the rib cage. Anatomy on Daikaiju Network.
Science.
Where's Bill Nye? I like that kid. Oh, don't stop him.
Like, you dumbass.
I like that guy. Oh, but then he gets killed here. The guy who went after the villain. Well, yeah, he gets killed here. Smack the villains in the face with the sword. Oh, buddy, I love you.
They're gonna end up dying anyways.
He's 6. I'm not even going to bother going there. Resistance is futile. Wait a minute, I thought that was Star Trek.
All your base belong to us. To us. apparently, just a few days ago, that celebrated its 20th year.
What did?
The all your base song.
Oh my gosh. National All Your Base Belong to Us Day.
It's hard to believe it's been that long ago.
I think you listen to that much more than I do.
Oh no, it's actually been a long time since I've last heard of it. They're just preying on a mound of dirt.
The guy's buried in there, dude.
Well, in that aspect, yes, but in real life, it's just a mound of dirt.
Well, yeah, when they were making it. Do you honestly think, though, they were actually praying in that moment, though, too, as they were making this?
You know, I'm just joking here.
I know you are. I'm pointing out the flaws you got here.
But it's not so much a flaw, though.
We are parsing hairs here.
In a movie, yes, there's a guy buried in there, but in real life, no.
In a movie, yes, there's a guy buried in there. The complete, just like, yeah, he's buried. Welcome to Daikaiju Network. Again, what I was earlier is that big bells play a big thing in these films too. Like these bells play a big deal in terms of summoning emotions, mainly the more depressing and saddening moments within the films, and eventually summoning Daimajin itself.
But hey, at least my flub isn't as bad as your Independence Day Resurgence flub.
Mine's funnier, though. We should probably do an Independence Day Resurgence commentary now. We're just having fun. I think it's taking things a little too seriously over here.
Nope, I'm just gonna sit right here.
and sunbathe because those are what they consider their gods.
For some reason with that old guy, I could have sworn that I've seen him somewhere.
Maybe he was in the first Daimajin or something.
Or it could be in some sort of other feudal Japan movie, maybe like Seven Samurai or something else.
That was a film I bought on Blu-ray almost 4 years ago now, and I went through and I watched the first half of it, and I never finished it.
I would also suggest seeing Yojimbo and Sanjudo. Those are really good films.
I do own those too. Haven't seen them.
You got to, man.
I have Seven
so
Samurai, the duology you just mentioned. I have Rashomon. I did watch that a few years ago.
Yeah, I've also got Rashomon. And then there was another.
I think
I know there was another.
I have Throne of Blood too.
Hidden Fortress. Do you have that one?
Let me see if I got that here. Let me see here.
And right now you got the people that took over this village trying to unlodge the Daimajin statue here. Or destroy it.
I do own that one. Still haven't seen that one either.
But yeah, that movie was sort of the movie that inspired George Lucas to do Star Wars.
I'm telling you right now, Hidden Fortress is a better movie. The more, I used to be kind of a, I mean, I've never been a Star Wars geek, but, in the whole Star Wars versus Star Trek deal, like 15 or so years ago, I was like, no, more Star Wars just because there's more action. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, the Star Wars movies, they're mildly cool, but Star Trek is a significantly better series. Like, better characters, there's more substance to them. It's like, these things are so much better. Those are explosives. Trying to blow up their god, their Daimajin. Yes.
Boy,
trying to more or less demoralize them.
I think they don't have enough. I think they should add more.
I don't know. I look at that and I'm like, that's excessive. It's like you got enough there to blow up almost the whole island.
Be like a miniaturized version of the atomic bomb.
It's like now we know what killed the dinosaurs. I like this. I'm sorry, but he's trying to stomp it out. I'm sorry, but you have to admit on some level there's some hilarity in that. Some familiar riffs. Again, Akira Ifukube also scored this trilogy.
Which obviously you can hear some of the familiar tracks that he's done.
That's what I just said, yeah. That's actually some cool mat work there. I keep forgetting how early in the movie this stuff happens. Oh my gosh. See, look, the explosions were so excessive that some of the pieces flew all the way to the mainland.
It's Gojira!
I get tricked every time I watch this movie because this happens so early. I keep thinking, okay, they're like, really, Daimajin's coming up soon. It's like, no, they do get the ball rolling early, but he's not. He's still not coming up for a while. I'm just so used to the, like the last movie and the next film where the bad dudes come along, and once they try to do something to the Majin statue, that's when shortly thereafter, um, you know, that's when he comes alive. Yes.
I mean, you think in real life, when they're buried in all that rubble and stuff, you think it would just crush them and that they would be killed from all that. No, no, you can't do that to me.
I just did. I did the timeout signal to Jason. Movie where this rock god eventually comes to life, and Jason's concerned about people being crushed by rocks.
Why'd you just grab his leg and just try to yank him down?
Immediately, my mind went to so many different places there. The guy gets neutered. We'll just let you figure that out. Why don't you grab his leg and that's all we say. Let your imagination roll with that one.
But yeah, it's like he had his foot right at the edge there. It's like into they had that huge opening in that dungeon or wherever that they had.
Then he takes off the guy's sandal and just starts slapping him with it.
You got Hongo's character Judo basically passed out, and I'm not sure. I forget the other person that's in the boat with him, but currently unconscious.
I have to say, out of the few movies that I've seen Kajiro Hongo in, this might be my favorite of his, and I really do enjoy Gamera versus Barugon as well. I think Gamera versus Barugon is one of the more underrated entries in the Gamera saga, and I think that's a very well made film.
Yeah,
Also,
not sure why he didn't really do much with the whole kaiju genre.
well, part of it though too is we have to remember a lot of actors were in Japan, anyways, during this time period under the contract system, so they worked under particular studios for a while. It wasn't
Hmm.
until I think the '70s in which that system no longer existed, and then actors could go to any studio that they wanted. In Dai, the only tokusatsu stuff, at least major, tokusatsu stuff that they did involved Gamera in this trilogy. I'm not sure if they did anything else that was sort of considered minor tokusatsu stuff or anything like that, either during the same time or even afterwards. I've never heard anything mentioned, or I haven't read anything that suggested that Dai during this period of Daimajin and Gamera, or even after Gamera ended, well, Zigra ended in 71, I believe, and Super Monster was 80. I'm not sure if Dai did anything else or much with tokusatsu kind of in that period.
We can check here. See,
But again, I think more specifically during the 60s, here in the early 70s, when they still had that contract system, I don't think Dai was really doing much at all. And if that's the case, then yeah, it explains why Hongo wasn't in much. I mean, he was in Gamera versus Barugon, he was in Gamera versus Virus, he was in this particular film. I'm trying to briefly think of the characters in the Gamera films. I think other than he was in Gamera versus Gauss. So yeah, he was in 3 Gamera films. And I think that was really it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like before their bankruptcy and or buyout to Kalakawa, obviously the last one is Gamera 3 here, from what I'm seeing in their
He was in Gamera
filmography.
3?
Well,
I know he was in Guardian of the Universe.
I was just looking at the filmography of what other tokusatsu or kaiju related films that Dai's done.
Oh. Yeah, because I know he was one of the ship captains at the beginning of Guardian of the Universe, but I don't really count that because he's what, a 4th, 5th bit character in that film.
Kojiro Hongo. Apparently, he passed away on Valentine's Day in 2013. Apparently, he retired from acting was in 2001.
How old is he?
He was 74.
Right now, he's 74?
Well, that's when he passed away in 2013.
Oh wow.
As I said, he passed away on Valentine's Day in 2013.
Oh, I thought you said he was born on Valentine's Day.
Nope. But he was born the day after, 15th of February 1938. So he was just a day shy away from his 75th birthday.
Jeez.
But yeah, apparently his last film was called Family 2, which is a Yakuza film in 2001.
Makes sense.
But yeah, he wasn't in a kaiju film since Gamer Guardian of the Universe.
And again, that was such a bit role. I mean, that was no more than like 1 or 2 minutes max on film.
Yeah, between that film and the last kaiju-related one that he appeared in, last one was Gamera vs. Virus. So, about close to 40 years.
Here's the kicker, though. Imagine being Kyle Chandler. You are in the 2005 Kong movie. Then you're in the 2019 Godzilla King of the Monsters movie. And now you're coming back to see your ape friend take on the giant fire-breathing lizard in 2021's Godzilla vs. Kong. Chandler.
Well, I think I mentioned something along that line many years ago.
I would love to have that on my resume. Like, that's what I would put at the top. I was in 2 Godzilla and 2 Kong movies, and in one of those movies they shared the spotlight.
Yeah.
How do you like the movie so far, Lincoln? I thought he was going to say that because that's what he said the last time.
What was it?
It's as nice as a birthday cake.
Is he trying to
What is
fight with
that, a
a
boat paddle?
For a second, I thought it looked like a broom. I was like, is that a paddle?
When I was in 8th grade, I was the first one in my class to make a whooping stick. And I drilled a bunch of holes in it so that way you wouldn't have wind resistance.
Both of us had something like that.
And I carried mine openly out in the hallway from shop class to my locker. And I made, I think, a couple more for a couple of my friends. And ever since then, especially in recent years, I've thought about that to myself. I'm like, there is no way I could get away with something like that now. In shop class. And the teacher knew it. Like, I did it out in the open, and the teacher thought it was funny. He's like, what are you making? I said, a whooping stick. And he just kind of chuckled a little bit. And that was it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I know you made me one too.
I know, I did, yeah.
I don't know if it was either me or also you that we put tape around the handle area there.
I remember putting tape around yours. I can't remember if I did around mine or not. Because I did a lot of sanding on mine, on the edges and stuff, to make it, feel decent.
Yeah.
I think about that, and I'm just like, there's no way that would happen today.
There's nothing there.
But I see ghosts. I do have that shirt.
With that guy tied up like that, it'd be funny that he should just get up and then just shrug off all that rope and just walk off.
Just, jiggles the shoulders and the rope falls off.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. and then the guys there, they just look dumbfounded, just look at one another.
They're like, that was a great magic trick, and then he pulls out a pistol.
I will become more powerful than you have ever imagined.
By the power of Grayskull.
That's from a completely different series.
Yeah, well, his sword was up in the air. That's why I said it.
Well, yeah, but I was just quoting from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Again, I haven't seen those movies in a long time simply because I don't think they're that great.
Well, you're not great either.
I bought part 7 on Blu-ray watch, and I'm like, this is like part 1. Then oh boy. And then I bought part 8, and I heard how terrible it was.
Oh yeah.
And I never watched it and got rid of it. And I've never seen part 9.
But yeah, that would have to be a horrible death. Being stabbed by a stone through the chest.
Well, it's like what I was talking about earlier in the film. Like, imagine dying from like a blade, a knife or a sword or something where by and large you bleed out. Like nothing's swift and it's just it's painful and pretty agonizing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you didn't have to cut the rope. You should have just shrugged it off.
You know what would have been funny is if all of a sudden the guy stood up and then you hear Raiden, and then the guy disappears. The guy was Raiden. It's the Mortal Kombat 1 voice, Raiden.
So Daimajin's part of the Mortal Kombat universe.
Imagine that. I would pay DLC for that. Daimajin wins. Fatality. He stepped on me. Fatality again.
Friendship.
Friendship. Daimajin makes no friends. We're just being silly.
Collides right into the rock.
And he saw it coming too, which would make it funny. Hey, look, a rock. Yeah. Boom. Oh no! I will say this though, like in these first two movies, and we don't get it in the third film, but the leading ladies here are pretty good on the eyes.
Oh yeah.
That'd be funny if she said, "Hey, put your head here. Listen to the bell," and then the guy does, and she just takes the big old log and smack.
Oh man,
Oh man, I forgot that guy died.
not only getting sliced but stabbed too.
Like by a short spearhead too, like something that doesn't, really go in enough to, get something entirely, but just enough. Like, ugh.
Funny when he was turning around, the boat that Hongo just falls over.
I was just thinking that, like, he goes head first into the drink.
I bet you anything that there are some outtakes where he did accidentally fall when they did that.
Did you see some outtakes of the Rocky IV recut?
I don't think so.
There was one where Stallone was like, he wanted them to throw water on him, at the end of a round. And the first one, like, they threw it right in his face and he starts laughing. He's like, okay, like, we got to try that again. And so they do it right the second time. You haven't seen that one.
But I did see one of his recent Instagrams where he was in a sound studio. It looked like where they were doing some stuff with Rocky Four. So
If you go to YouTube and go to, I think it's Total Rocky, the channel, they have an 11-minute compilation of kind of from beginning to the most recent. The movie, by and large, is finished. So hopefully within the next, I don't know, a few weeks to a month or so, that thing is going to be ready.
I'm actually looking forward to whenever they do the 4K release for that entire anthology.
I'm just hoping we get a Blu-ray release or, of the Zack Snyder Justice League. I think that'll be a year and a half before we see that. And then Rocky IV, the director's cut as well.
I just had a chuckle at Hongo's stare there.
You're Your boat has been surrounded. I see nobody behind him. He's not surrounded. He lied to you. Oh, wait a minute. There they are.
It'd be hilarious if they had one of the guys that's holding up the.
Lincoln just said, "Imagine they tried shooting at him, and then he ducked, and they keep missing." I'm just thinking shooting at each other.
or what would have been funny that one of them, was aiming at the guys, but the rifle was in the opposite direction.
Well, that shoulder shimmy is not going to work here.
Just yank the entire pull and just run up. But also, I mean, it's probably not buried too deep into the ground.
Watching, he's like 5 feet off the ground, and his legs are wiggling as he's trying to move around. He's like, "Oh, this is like 10 feet deep." Oh, it's a woman. Her face looks so pale. I'm a ghost.
And her facial expression seems a little bit more mellow. Slapping him with the fan.
I would have been like, "What a pansy." You can make all sorts of your mama jokes to the guy there. Probably make him mad.
It's a witch! Burn her!
I'd be like, time out. This ain't Salem.
Happened to just imagine living in that time period and witnessing all that sort of execution stuff.
The thing is, though, like, you were either forced to, or that was considered a form of entertainment as well. It's just going back to the Roman period with the Colosseum and people, quote unquote, fighting lions and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And of course, say you trying to get her prayers answered, and now once she sheds a tear,
The first two movies, every time a woman sheds a tear, Daimajin's like, "All right, now I'm definitely needed. I'm making people cry here." and they put the wood in, and then the fire like blows in their face, and their face is on fire, and they're like, "Ah! Ah!"
And then the island that these guys are on, where the statue was, it just erupts in a volcano.
Wait a minute, it's just the head. Wait a minute, no, we blew up the body too. What's going on here? Uh-oh, it's moving.
I told you nothing could stop him.
You like doing that move. Why don't you do his move? I'm doing it. After we watched that movie last summer, you kept going around going.
Like this.
That's what Lincoln kept doing. He kept doing the transformation. See, even Uncle Jason's doing it. He's pretty bummed about not being able to go to G-Fest this year.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
But again, like you and I talked about, we kind of saw this coming.
And this is the one thing that I really like about this movie, where he just parts it like Moses in a way.
Well, like I was saying at the top of the commentary, I'm like, this is one of my favorite scenes out of the entire. In fact, it's one of my favorite special effects scenes in Japanese tokusatsu. I know it's, you can obviously see kind of around its helmet a little bit of blue from the blue screen. Forget all that. It's still not only done well. What makes it so impressive is that it's badass, and I love that. And it's amazing, and it's still visually stunning. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
This movie I've already seen before. I just do the act once when I haven't seen the movie.
Well, yeah, you were saying earlier you didn't see it, and I said, yes, you did. Again, some great screen work here. I know some people would say, well, it's very obvious, but still, again, you got to put yourself back in 1966. This is still amazing. And then the great practical here. And in one smack, Mr. Gorbachev, the wall has been taken down.
He's even stronger than Hulk.
Daimajin versus Hulk. Lincoln just brought that up.
And go.
Daimajin, he's a god. That's it. The end. Good luck with that.
See, they're still missing by quite a bit.
And the Japanese self-defense force will become no better several centuries later against Kaiju.
Yeah.
What's he shooting man for?
That's how he looks. He's a vengeful god.
Because of the bad guys?
Mm-hmm. That'd be funny if he used her as a weapon. Just whack, and just starts whack, whack, whack. And at the end, she's like, And see, that's cool. Like they built a big hand for Majin there, just to put that down. And I'm sure that was the same hand that was used in the previous film, and I think will also be used in the next film.
Well, I think that not only they did the hand part, but I think they've done the feet too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He don't give a fuck.
I love the cinematography. Like his whole face is in shadow. There's just enough light shining on him to where you can get a couple of the features.
And then also see the eyes, like the expressions
Yeah.
on the eyes too.
He won that staring contest.
Easy. Well, that one was kind of easy, I guess.
That, not so convincing, but, I'm willing to go with it.
It was probably a smaller version. Daimajin just close up.
That's the least convincing effect in the whole film.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna stop him.
Like this sequence right here kind of reminds me of the 1954 Godzilla film where you had the people
Tokyo
up in
Tower.
the yeah.
He's like, haha, got ya. He's like, you'll never.
He destroyed all that, but yet he only destroyed the gate somehow.
Don't judge Daimajin's power.
He does this, and everything collapses. And it's just like what they did in the first movie.
Imagine if that stuff was just on him for a second, and then he like broke all that, and then it just falls off of it.
Well, you better watch. He just kind of looks at him and is like, okay, we're going for a ride.
Why is he destroying a lot of stuff?
Because that's what he's supposed to do.
Why is he supposed to do it?
He's a vengeful god.
Why would vengeful gods destroy stuff?
Vengeful means he's out for revenge.
What's revenge?
You go after the people who hurt you, and you hurt them. It's like if you slap me and then I come back and slap you. That's revenge.
With that being a box of dynamite, it'd be funny that Daimajin just picks them up one by one and just throws them towards the guys there.
Or flicks them. Or Wile E. Coyote effect. They don't go off and then they get closer and they're like, hey, why won't you go off?
He's like, don't get the few rocks, especially.
I like this an awful lot. I mean, the practical effects here, the sets blowing up. I mean, everything not only looks beautiful, but is executed beautifully.
Yeah, and I think compared with the first film, I think with this film, there's more destruction, and it seems that there's obviously, I would say, more scenes with Daimajin in this.
Well, yeah, the set pieces were more limited to the pagodas in the first film, which did look good. But here you not only have the pagodas, you had the parting of the sea, so therefore you have more of a technical effect there. Then you have this tunnel scene here too, and then eventually you have the boat on fire scene as well. There's more effects work, and there's just simply more going on as well. I mean, there's even, I believe, more going on here than what you get even in the third film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, now I remember something. Well, you're toast. That's pretty obvious. Who wants a sandwich?
Yeah. That'd be a horrible way to go.
It might be quicker though than getting stabbed by a sword.
He's like, you'll never get away from me. He's like, I'll show you.
And then it'd be funny that Ibero just comes out and just takes the boat.
Daimajin versus Ibra. Shocking. Ibra ends up winning that one.
Doesn't his mouth open?
Because he's a god from a stone statue.
I also like how he just stands there with the guy just trying to move.
Well,
but
when you're a
it's
god and you can like manipulate anything.
well, it's yeah, it's like he's just turning the boat and then just releasing this fire that goes along this ocean.
I will say, this is definitely a painful, slow death, but at the same time, I'm not impressed. Like the first one, I liked an awful lot just because he takes the guy and impales him. Like on some level, there's some instant gratification here. It's just like it's slow, and it's like, yeah, technically that's painful, but just you want to see a guy get his head ripped off or something. He feels satisfaction.
That's that.
It's like he has to turn into water.
Because I guess they're elemental gods. tear opens the envelope and a tear seals it. Uh-oh.
Why is that? Uh-oh. Why is that? Oh, okay.
There he goes.
And this effect here is pretty cool too.
It is, yes. It's very cool. And the fact, like you see there in some of the ridges of the armor, how you get a little bit more of it coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if he just did that for a second, then just came back up, and then something shooted him, and nothing actually melted him.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I think it's being goofy.
Shocker.
Why is there a hole in his armor on the picture?
This is part of the helmet.
More of these.
You don't need to worry about that.
And then they can still hear the bell ringing.
It's sort of like the ending to Godzilla, the first one.
A little, yeah. And that's that.
And that is the end of Return of Daimajin. Not right now, no. All right, so Lincoln, what did you think of Return of Daimajin? It's nice as a beautiful Valentine's Day cake. We change cakes here now. All right. So did you want to go first or did you want me?
I guess I can go first. And as I mentioned earlier during our viewing here, that this is the first time seeing this movie, and probably, oh gosh, about a few years ago since the last time we discussed Return Daimajin as part of the whole trilogy. And yeah, I can still remember quite a bit of the scenes, even obviously the famous one where he parts the ocean there. And just with this, and I probably would agree with Ken on this, that this is probably, out of the three Daimajin films, that this is the best one, especially with I would say more of the memorable characters, better story, plot, and as well as this time around, you get more of Havoc when it comes to Daimajin.
Did you want to give any sort of like a score on it or anything like that?
I would say to our scoring system, if this is a buy, rent, or pass, I would definitely say a buy on this one.
Yeah, again, I still stand by what I said at the start of this commentary, and I believe what I said a few other times in the past. This is my favorite of the Daimajin trilogy. I think it is also the best out of the Daimajin trilogy. I think the acting is the best here that you're going to get out of the trilogy. That's not to say that the acting is terrible in any of the other two films, but I just think when you have people like Kojiro Hongo and Koji Fujiyama here, that just elevates your movie to a whole other level. I like the scenery here. I like the effects work here. I think Daimajin, in terms of being put into situations where it can destroy things, you get a variety here more so than you're going to get in the other films. And I just think overall, this, in my opinion, this is not only the most entertaining of the films, I think it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I had to rank the films, it would be 2, 1, 3 easily. And I'm saying that, and you know, we haven't even watched 3 yet for a commentary. That's not coming up for another couple weeks here. But I'm telling you right now, and I do like 3. Don't get me wrong. I'm, you know, of course, years ago, if you had asked me about number 3, I would have been like, yeah, it's pretty decent, but the kids annoyed the living shit out of me. But now it's not as bad. I still find elements of it to be pretty good. But I think in that order of best to worst, 2, 1, 3, I think I think it's the best. It's the best of the Daimajin trilogy.
And then
it encapsulates everything that it makes this character and its franchise incredible.
Yeah, even though that the second one sort of goes on the same formula or a little bit repetitive with the first film, but I think that this time around with the characters, the story, and how everything went down, I think it did better than what the first film did.
In many ways, yeah, it is almost a bit of a retelling of that first film with some modifications to it. It is, on some level, its own story, but at the same time, yeah, it is sort of a retelling. Part 3 is the only one that sort of deviates the most of its story out of the entire trilogy. But yeah, even then, it's almost as if the second director was like, I can tell the story of the first film and do it better than you.
Yeah.
I think they did.
Like some sort of competition.
Yeah, I'm sure they had bets placed, and if they, you know, were saying, okay, who's putting money down on what, I'd be putting money down on this second film, and I do believe I would not only get my money back, but make a profit as well. Yeah. I do think it's just a better film, and again, that's not to crap on the first film or the third film. This whole trilogy is done pretty darn well. They are emotionally charged films. They are films that are different enough to where, by and large, you can kind of distinguish between each one. Again, the first and the second ones are so similar that I sometimes get certain parts mixed up between the two. Mm-hmm. But they are pretty darn similar, almost a carbon copy in many respects. But, you know, I just think out of a superb trilogy, the second entry in the franchise is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a buy.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you want to add, or should we just
other than nope, just wrap it up? So again, thank you so much for listening or watching here on our commentary. We will be back in a couple of weeks to end out this trilogy with Daimajin Strikes Again. It's sort of a confusing title, considering that same type of title could also be used for the second film, but we're not going to go there. So yeah, we're going to finish out this trilogy here in a couple of weeks. And we hope to see everybody again there. And we will keep you guys posted as far as certain things going on with Daikaiju Best here in the coming months.
Yeah, so just keep an eye out. Kent's recently made an article over at DaikaijuNetwork.com just going over the MonsterVerse sort of a retrospective
I did do
article.
that. Yeah, that was a month ago, I think.
And also make sure to follow us over at the Facebook page there, sort of where we do most of our updates on compared to the other social media networks or platforms there. But yeah, so make sure if you haven't subscribed to us yet, either on the audio platforms, or you can see down below Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn, or you can subscribe to us on the video platforms: YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, and DLive as well. So other than that, we will catch you guys. What was the next scheduled date we're going to be doing? Daimajin Strikes Again?
Let me open up a quick document here. It is going to be March 7th.
All right, so keep an eye out as we will be commentating on March 7th. So if there's anything else, I will take us out with the outro music.
Take care, everybody.
All right. See you guys.